All right, so if you listen to this podcast, especially the free writing session episodes where I get a little bit more into my writing, you know that I am working on wrapping up my debut novel. I told you all that it will be out in Q1 2019, meaning first quarter of 2019, which we're in now. And if I had to give you an estimate, or an updated estimate rather, I would say it's definitely happening, and I would estimate within the next 3 to 4 weeks tops. I'm in the formatting phase, which for me means picking out the style of font that I'm using, the size of the font, Baskerville and 11 point, in case you were wondering. Formatting the dialogue into block text and justifying all the text, making sure all the indents are on point in the beginning of each paragraph, and stuff like that. Pretty much how the words on the page will physically look in the book. So I'm doing that, and also touching up my acknowledgements and that type of stuff, the very, very tail end of what I need to do for the inside of the book. And while that was going on, I was also working on the cover design. And this is the first time that I'm using a professionally done cover, working with designers. And that's what I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about, because I thought it was just such a cool process. For my first book, which is nonfiction, entitled Make Way for You, which you can check out in the episode notes. There's links to it, and also if you just want to see more of what it's about, just visit my website, spuntoday.com/books. For that book, I designed the cover myself, which is nothing fancy. Some like bold block text with the title and subtitle, and has a border around the cover that kind of makes it look a little bit like a pool table pockets. That's pretty much it. It's a very, very simple, straightforward type of cover. And it was the kind of generic look that I was going for. Now, for my debut novel, however, I definitely wanted to go the route, or knew I was going to go the route of a professional cover design. Now, being that I focused a lot on self-editing and not trying to, I wouldn't say teach myself editing, although it is a little of that, but I don't want to act as if I'm some sort of editor now, because I'm definitely not. I just listen to a lot of different podcasts on editing, specific episodes of the Creative Pen podcast, reading editing blogs, and posts by the likes of K.M. Weiland, and listening to podcasts that are solely focused on editing, like the Story Grid podcast, and just a wealth of information that's on the Story Grid website, etc., etc. So, being that I knew I was self-editing my debut novel and not spending money on professional editing, I knew that I was going to go from creating my first book, where I wrote it, edited it, and did the cover design 100% myself, to kind of sort of graduating to this next phase of writing and editing the book myself, but getting professional cover design done. And then I want to have the personal experience of being able to look back on my writing when I'm on the second and third book in this trilogy, and see the difference between professional cover design versus non-professional cover design, and then for the second book actually use professional editing and compare that process with this debut novel, which I'm not using professional editing for. And it's important to me to have that frame of reference, that personal frame of reference, because by all accounts and purposes, all writers that I follow and listen to, professional editing is just part of the game. So, and it's a mandatory part of the game. Mandatory in quotes. Nothing's mandatory, right? But any writer worth their salt uses professional editing. So I know in the trajectory that I'm going in, there's going to be a point in time where I'm going to cross that threshold of into having my books edited. And once I cross it, I'm not coming back. But I definitely do want to have the frame of reference of, all right, this is how the process went without it, and this is how the process goes with it. And be able to compare and contrast myself. Who knows? Maybe it goes well without professional editing, which is not likely. But it could happen, right? One can dream. Anyway, I say all that to say that I did spend on professional cover design. And 99Designs offers different packages. The base package for book cover design is $399. And there are several podcast promos that you can use to get a free $99 upgrade to the next tier. What you get for that is this process that I'm about to describe to you. You pretty much fill out this application, this survey, if you will, with a book blurb of what your book is about, and it's what's on like the back of a book, for example, like the paragraph or two in the back of a book. You provide the title, obviously, your name, the author name. You provide an author photo, anything else that you want on the cover. If you wanted to say, for example, I added a novel, because that's what novels have on the covers. They say like the words, a novel. But then you go through a series of questions, and it's not like crazy long, like daunting or whatever, but it's like just detailed enough to articulate to the artist that's going to work on your cover based on the information that you give. It gives them like just enough information. So it goes through things like the genre, whether it's fiction, science fiction, fantasy, romance, which is big, right? Like you get different types of cover designs. If you walk through a bookstore, like I did actually as part of like my research for cover designs, I went to a Barnes and Noble and took pictures of my section for this book, which would be science fiction, and also searched on Amazon, and just to see the scheme or the branding, if you will. Branding is probably not the proper word, but the general styles of the covers of books within my genre. Because although you want your book cover to stand out, it has to be genre specific. You don't want to have a science fiction book with a picture of a guy and a girl on the cover kissing, which you would normally see on a romance novel. You want to stand out just enough, have a dope, cool cover, but within the confines of your specific genre. And by the way, this isn't stuff that I came up with. This is like proof of concept, cover design 101 as depicted by best-selling authors. So the genre obviously is important. It asks you like what the target audience is, like who normally reads the genre. It asks you like on a sliding scale from like 0 to 100, 100 being the most, or actually it literally shows you a bar from like 1 to 100, and there's like 5 or 6 different ones, but with like categories like, do you want a busy cover or a simple cover? and you slide it from like 0 to 100, from simple to busy. Do you want an antique cover or a modern cover? And you slide the scale accordingly to what your personal tastes are. There's also a section which was my favorite section because I was collecting different images for like months before I even started this cover process. Just like cool shit that I saw and I wanted, or that resonated with me, and I kind of wanted implemented into like my book cover design, whether it was other book covers that I saw that were cool, or just like images in general that I found online. And I was keeping this folder, which is probably a good idea if you guys want to take that tip, and if you're ever doing something like this. I found it helpful, especially with the way 99Designs works. And it has a section where you can upload images to give the artist, the designer, ideas of the type of shit that you're into and that you're looking for your cover design. And you can tell them things like, include this specific design or this specific image somewhere in the cover or on the spine of the book, like I did with this like triangular figure that I find fascinating that is called an 8 octonian. And I read this physics thing that was a like an excerpt from a science journal called 8-dimensional octonians that physicists were puzzled by, but thought or think that it could explain reality, and that these octonians hold clues to solve fundamental mysteries of the universe. Anyway, it was just like this, mind-blowing, interesting article that I understood like 0.5% of. And by 0.5%, I mean I could understand the words that were printed in the article, and that's about it. But I don't know, it resonated with me, and I thought the image was dope. So that's part of my cover design, for example. And just like different elements for my story, like the eye of a human being, which I've always been fascinated with the physical look of an eye. And I know it's like a played out kind of concept, but like if you look at the iris and the pupil, it kind of looks like the Milky Way, like a galaxy. And I play with that theme in my story in a way that intertwines with time travel. Then there are a lot of steampunk images. Steampunk is a type of genre where like eyes are depicted with clocks, which I thought was cool because, again, my story has to do with time travel. So I have that type of theme going on. So I had a bunch of like those types of images that I submitted and uploaded as part of this survey that you have to fill out, right? So once you get through like all those questions, all those things, the more detailed you are, the better chance you have of getting something back that you actually like. And the way it works is once you submit it, you start this contest where designers start submitting you book cover designs. It's like an open source type of thing. If somebody reads your description and they think they can do it, they think they can deliver on your request, they do the work and submit you different cover designs. And being that it's open source, you can get like one response or you can get hundreds of responses. And again, according to like the site and frequently asked questions by past users and stuff like that I read through, the more detailed you are, the better your chances are of getting people to want to join into your contest. Also, that like $99 free upgrade thing that you get by using like a podcast, one of the bunch of podcast sponsor codes that are out there for 99Designs. gets you like more exposure or something like that to like more like top tier designers or some shit like that. Anyway, so I was lucky enough to, when everything was all said and done, I had 120 something designs. Now, it's not 120 something individual designs. It was probably more along the lines of, I would say, like in the 40s or 50s or 60s in terms of designs. But each time you get to interact with people, the designers that are submitting designs, and you tell them, oh, I like where you're going with this, but change like the font to a different style and show me like 2 or 3 different styles and font for the title, or change the color, or I like the front cover, I'm not crazy about the back cover, can you try this, or this person that's standing in the middle, I don't like that, but can you replace that with a building, or like whatever the fuck you want. And it's in like an artistic thing, so you get to see people's like different styles and how they play with the inputs that you gave them based on like what you're looking for from like your survey and stuff like that. And it's super cool, super creative. Like I really, really enjoyed the process. And the way it works is that you receive submissions and you interact as much as you want with the people, and it's for a specified window, which I forgot what it was, if it was like 5 days or 10 days for this first window. And in this window, like you don't pay yet. So let's say nobody responds or whatever, you just cancel the whole shit, and you don't, it's not like you lose your money. But then from all those designs and the back and forth that you have to pick 6 different artists to work with. Now, it's artists, not individual cover designs. So if you have one artist that submitted, like I had, for example, artists that submitted not just designs and the corrections or changes that I wanted to specific designs, they also submitted like completely different other types of designs, like it wasn't just like here's one design in a bunch of different colors. It was like here's one design in a bunch of different colors, but here's like this whole other type of concept also. So if I pick that artist to choose to proceed to the final round, then I get that artist and all their designs, and I could continue to work with them in the next round. Once you do pick those 6 finalists, though, you get 6 finalists to pick. Then at that point you're saying, all right, the money is guaranteed. Whoever wins the contest or whichever cover I go with ultimately gets the money. As you can imagine, it's they're not getting paid if they don't deliver. So you don't have like douchey interactions, or at least I didn't, and it doesn't seem like the type of environment where you would get negative interactions from the artist because the leverage is on your side in this type of exchange, right? So they're actually like really friendly and helpful and eager to change and update whatever it is that you're asking for. So ultimately, after that round, you after working with the top 6, you pick you have 5. Was it 5? Yeah, it was 5 days in this window to narrow it down to the contest winner. And then you have an additional 14 days after that, and you don't have to take all this time, obviously. You can do it sooner. But you have 14 days to just finalize things, ask for, minor changes if you still want them or need them. And the artist supplies you with a bunch of different designs. It's that one design that you choose as the finalist, but it's in a bunch of different formats. Like they give you a square image which is for you to use on Instagram for promotion. They give you a Facebook backdrop. They give you an iBook sized cover. They give you a Kindle sized cover. They give you the paperback image with the spine sized according to what your page count for your book and your back cover, for this is for like the actual paperback of your book, or if you're using hardcover, whatever it is. They give you all the different types of designs and they upload them, and you have to review them and pretty much sign off on them. And once you do, you sign a transfer agreement where the design and the copyright for the design and complete ownership goes to you. So once you finalize this process, you own that cover. And that's where I'm at with this. I am in this final phase, the 14 days, where I have all the images and different size specs and stuff like that, with the exception of my paperback cover, because the designer's waiting on me to let him know what my exact page count is, which I haven't finalized yet, because like I said, I'm still doing the final formatting of the inside of the book. So I just have to finalize that within the next 14 days or so, a little bit less now actually, to make sure that I get everything that I need. And once I do, it'll be finalized. But the process is dope, man. I like it. I definitely recommend it. I had a really good experience this one and only time that I've used it. But it was definitely good enough for me to look forward to using it again in the future for the second book in the series, and eventually for the third book in the series, because this will be a trilogy. So I could eventually sell you guys some box sets of all three books. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's called 99Designs. The number 99 Designs. And I will link to it in the episode notes for you guys to check out.